Good morning, Ria from Maisie Moo. Now, I'm jumping on to show you this planner pouch that I put together during the week, and I did actually show you this, a wee sneak peek on the Facebook page. And what it is it's an elasticized, it's a little bit like the pouches, the pencil cases with the elastic that attach to the front of the this is like a diary. It's an A4 journal, and it's the same idea, but it's much bigger. You can actually pop your phone in this one. It can fit either in the front sleeve or even in the zipper section here. And I will show you how to put the zipper on and everything. It's really easy. This is EasyStitch. It comes with all the holes cut out. You can see the one that we're doing today has got all of the holes in it. I've made a couple of amendments to this one, nothing that you'd notice. I've just made the holes a little bit bigger. I've noticed a few people have been saying they're having trouble getting them to cut out, so I thought I'd just make them a bit bigger so they are easier to cut. What you will need for this is some elastic. We've got elastic here, your faux leather. This is from Leather at Lane, this one, and today's is going to be cut from faux leather from Polka Dotted Peach. So you'll also need a zip and your embroidery thread and a sharp needle. So let's pop that to the side. Now what we're going to be doing is attaching it to this larger diary today, because I'm going to make one for my diary. So it's going to really be exactly the same. The only difference will be the length of the stretchy elastic. And I'll have to decide what colour I'm going to use, blue or pink. We'll have to see. Blue or pink. Okay, so let's get started. Now this is obviously an A4 size. Oh, and this is something I've just made. This is a little, you see that? It's a magnetic pen holder. So it's like a bookmark, and it also holds a pen. So that's a prototype, and it seems to work. And look, it actually is holding through the cover of my book. So that's something that I'll be showing you how to put together in the next week or so. So let's pop this aside, and the first thing we want to do is we've got our pieces. This is my back piece. I'm using a different colour for the back because you're not going to see it. You've got the top here, which has got the cutout for your zip, and then a pocket which sits on over here. So what we want to do first is get our zip lined up over this cutout. Now this zip is way too long, which means I need to add a couple of stitches to this, and I'll show you. We're going to be cutting it shorter. Okay, so I'm just taking some thread. All I want to do is just measure we want to measure this so that it fits. We've got the zip butting up there, and I'm going to cut there we go, that zip just there. And then all we want to do is I want to make sure, I'm just creating a stopper. Now with some zips you can actually purchase the little metal bit like this. You can just clamp it, but I find just a few stitches like this, stop that zip, and we're also going to be gluing it as well. Okay. Oops. Little knot. There we are. Okay, so I've gone with a contrasting colour. I thought that would look good. Now I need to decide what thread I'm going to use. I could decide on the pink or the blue. The blue, I might go with the blue, and then you can see me sewing much easier. So let's just measure this out here. Let's make some space. 22, 44, about 50 inches I'm going to do. Thread my needle. Now my needle isn't a blunt-ended needle. It's got a little bit of a sharper end this time because we are sewing not just through the holes where it's threading through. We're going to be sewing through the zip as well. And something else I'm going to be doing is I am going to glue this zip to the faux before I sew it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue just on the very edge of the zip so that it holds to the faux leather when I am, and it stays aligned. There we go. Okay, so I've glued just a few spots along the back to hold the zip in place before I start stitching. And now remember, this has a pocket, so the pocket is going to be going here. So that is actually going to be sewn on as part of this zip square that I'm going to do. So I think what we'll do is I'm going to start from the inside here. Got my knot behind, and I'm going to just make my way. Oops, let's just move this. I'm going to sew up the side. Okay, so we've sewn down one side and we're at the end now where the zip joins. Now when the zip is sort of right at the end, it's a bit bulky, so what I do is I undo my zip a little bit so it's a bit looser, and then you want to pass your needle through the zip backing. Okay, make sure you're capturing it. There we go. That's it. Back through, and then I'll put one more stitch and then we'll zip it back up again so that everything's all nice and neat. Boom, there we go. We're going to go over and under. There we go. That's it. Okay, so I'm going to continue to sew all the way down. So if you're finding it hard to find your hole, what you can do is if you hold it up to the light, I'm not sure if we can sort of see there, you can sometimes see where the hole is. I've got a window here in front of me, so all I'm doing is holding it up and then that finds the hole from behind. But you can usually, with a little jiggery pokery, you can find it. Okay, there we go. So you can see I have sewn all the way around the zip, and that's holding it in place. Now you could, if you wanted, to leave it as the single stitch, but I think it just needs to have a full solid stitch just to reinforce everything. And now if you were obviously using a sewing machine, you'll be doing exactly what I'm doing now but with your sewing machine. So if you just follow the same lines, if you are planning on sewing this with a machine, we go, and all I'm going to do now is head back round. I'm going to just go back round the other way. And I'll jump back on when I'm done. Okay, right, we've gone all the way around and I'm back round now to the very last. Here we go, stitch, and then all I'm going to do is just create a knot by passing my needle and thread through the loop a couple of times, and we'll trim that off now. And that will be fine there because you see it's on the top side, and when you unzip, everything's sort of going to be going that way. So we've got nothing to catch on there, it's all nicely smooth, and that's all done. Now you'll see we'll need to trim these ends a little bit, just so that they're not overhanging, but we also want them to be caught in the stitching, so that just reinforces everything again as it's going around. So that is all stitched on. Next, what we want to do is work out the length of our elastic, and I worked out with this book here and the elastic I used. All I did was I got the elastic and cut it the same length as the front of the book. Or the front of the template. So that's how long my elastic was, and then when I sewed it, it was just a little bit stretchier so that it held. In this case, we're going to need longer. So, what colour? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my elastic the length of this book here. Now if we're stretching it a bit more, when you sort of stretch it right, I think that's going to work. So this is for the A4. I'm actually cutting it the length of the A4. Do 2 lengths. Okay, so yeah, we've got our lengths of elastic, and I've cut them to, as I say, the length of the A4 journal. So what I'm going to do now is I've done it on this side. I've taken 2 tiny dots of glue and I'm gluing my elastic over the, you'll see that there's 3 holes here that I've created. See those 3 extra holes? Now that's where you want to line your elastic up over the top of, because we're going to sew through it twice. This is going to be secure. Now I didn't want the elastic running through the whole cover or the whole pouch, because everything's going to catch on it. So this is my way of keeping it secure. I've also chosen to have the dull side showing on my journal when it's there, because I'm not so keen on the shiny side. Up to you how you do it, up to you what size elastic you use. Now, and book that it's going to fit really, so it's adaptable to what you want. So I'm going to get a tiny bit of, just now they've got to be careful, we don't want to put it over the holes, and we're going to just stick the elastic like that, wrap it round. I did that the wrong side. Shall we try that again? Alright, so it's all looking a little bit messy at the moment. Not a problem, because we are going to be covering all of these bits up. So again, we want to thread our needle. Now before I used 50 inches, and this is what I've got left. You could maybe use 45, but it was plenty. Now what we'll do now is we're going to be going around this. I'd be inclined to probably go around once with one lot of thread and then re-thread and go back round again. It is up to you, because the longer your thread is, the more tangled it tends to get. So let's move all this out the way. Okay, so we've sewn on our zip, we have glued on our elastic. Now we just want to sew this together, and it's super easy. You're going around where the holes are. So I'm going to start, I'll start here just to show you. Have a look. So nice long piece, really long piece of thread. So we've got a knot, and all I'm going to do now is start stitching, but you'll see in the corners there's some extra holes. And as you're going around, so let's have a, we're going to be stitching, whoops, through those holes. Okay, so once you get to them, what you want to do is I'm going to stitch 1, 2, and then back 2. So we're going 1, 2, 3, and well, 1, 2, 3 I should say. So we're going to go up. So we're sort of going off course from going around the edge. Boy, that was hard to pull through. There was a bit of fluff there, so we're pulling that through the last hole here. Okay, you can see that there. Now there will be a slight double stitch on this one, but you won't hardly notice that. Back again. And what this is doing is just passing through that elastic and holding it in place. So we'll come back out where we started and you'll see we've got a line on both sides, and we'll just continue sewing around. And if on every corner you get to, you'll just do the same thing. So something to be aware of when you're working. Here we go, pass that through with the elastic. You don't want to obviously go through that and catch it, but that's easy enough done if you're just lifting it out the way like I am here. Okay, and I'm just going to sew all the way around the edge. Okay, so you can see now that we have sewn all the way around the edge. You can see we've got the extra stitches on each side. You can probably see it better on the back. Okay, so you've got where we've gone in and come back. So we've captured our elastic pretty well there, I think. Now I'm going to just go back round again. So all we'll be doing is just stitching exactly where we've where we've already been. We don't need to come back along these because obviously we've got that solid stitch there. Whoops. I'll probably jump off now and then jump back on near the end. Around, and we have one last stitch. So I'm going to take my needle and I am going to pass it through the hole but come up through the 2 layers. Okay, so what we want to do is I'm going to pass it back down through the stitches. I actually might just come out. See where I'm coming out of the corner? This is why it's quite good doing it in a corner. It makes it a lot easier to finally tie off, and we've created a loop. My needle's going to go back through. Now because this corner here doesn't really matter what's going on in this corner here, because this corner, I'm going to come back out, there we go. Nothing will be going up there. Let's have it tug on that gently. Okay, so we've got our loop here. I'm going to pass my needle through that loop, and when I pull it tight, oh, there we go, it created, pull in my thing, there we go, that's fine, there we go, it created a knot. Tuck that in, voila. Right, moment of truth. Let's give it a go. So I've got my diary, my big diary, and we're going to just loop it over. I've got one. I'm going to shimmy it down. Two. Okay, it fits. We've got our zip there. Can stick things in. Got a pen, so you can pop a pen in here, phone, which I don't have at the moment because both the kids aren't here, but there we go. We have finished our pouch, so you can see you can make it to fit in A5, you can make it to fit in A4. I'm sure you can come up with some other ideas for this. Obviously with elastic being stretchy, it depends on the different sorts. You can see I've used two different sorts of elastic here. What you really need to do is to test it as best you can on the particular size book or journal or diary that you're using. But in this case, I measured it to the size of the book, and it's holding quite well. I probably could have made it a little bit tighter, but once you've got some things in here, it will bulk out as well. All right, well, I hope that is clear and you were able to follow that tutorial. If you have any questions, you know, you just have to reach out and ask me. I'm always here, happy to help. All right, thanks very much. Bye.